And our next speaker, and it's my absolute delight, de présenter notre prochain speaker. Our next speaker is Alexandre Erre, and I've known Alexandre for some time now. We've been co-presenters in the Paris Queer Week, where Alexandre made a stellar contribution. So I'm using a word Paula used yesterday, the word stellar. He lives and works between France and New Caledonia. He was born in 1990 in Nouméa, where he lived for about 17 years. He studied at the École Supérieure d'Art et Design de Grenoble, and then at the École Nationale Supérieure d'Art de Paris-Cergy. Through the use of installations, sculptures, videos, photographs, interventions in public spaces, performances, and engravings, he dissects the codes and norms to question and create memories, tales, and fictions. Alexandre Erre's practice revolves around his native island, New Caledonia, and broadly speaking, around the processes of exoticization, racialization, gendering, domination, or cultural hierarchy. His questioning at the crossroads of gender, sexuality, and community leans on his personal background and summons his insularity and his diasporic status. And we now know that he's been selected for the Venice Biennale this year. So congratulations, Alexandre, and over to you.
To activate my microphone. Thank you, dear Sandeep. And like the panelists before me, I want to say thank you to you and to Paula, and to the whole DNS network for giving me this opportunity to talk. Like, the main thing I enjoy is listening to other people mainly, so it feels a bit awkward. Like, while listening to everyone, I'm so delighted to learn things like we were doing at the La Colonie Barrée from Kader Atia. I find the same spirit and the same generosity, so I'm having a great time. I'm just happy to listen. If I could just listen to you all, that would be so great. I'm so shy. So I've tried to, like, maybe I've prepared like some small text from before, so I'll try to keep it short, maybe. Some about where can I start from? Like, I'm an artist, like you said, from New Caledonia, so it's a New Caledonia Kanaki, so it's a very major point for me as an artist to I think read my artwork, because this space, my homeland, is in a transitive space. Like, many people don't know, but we are in a process of independence from France. So it is an ongoing process that have taken place like for the past 50 years maybe, but have been more politically written down, if I may say so. So when I was born, we were already in this transitive space and mindset, so that from the get-go affected me as being in a transitive body and mindset. And I don't know, like, being in this island, and that it's moving towards something new, like we are trying to define what we want for our future. So it's a very complex period where we try to involve all the aspects of society and trying to define, like, sounds somewhat like a utopia, but we are trying to define what we would like to do and try to maybe get rid of the colonial things that get added through time, and maybe find the spirit of Kanak people, the original mindset, and try to see what new political aspects society can take. So it's a very, very huge period of time that played a huge part in building my psyche, if I can say, as much as were the Polynesian words that were used to define me as a kid. Like, you know, New Caledonian society is made from so many islanders, islandic societies, that were all gathered through colonial violence. So it's a very weird way to all be tied up in this ship together. So it's a bit special. But when I was a kid, other kids didn't know what being an homosexual was, so they were using words like Polynesian words like Erre and Mahu, which are like third sex concepts. So without knowing that, it was very influential for me to define my own gender. Never felt like male or something, so like man or something. So it was a bit weird. And this and through my work, I'm trying to work around the care concept. Like, it's something that is very deeply tied with my work. I'm trying to define my gender through my work, and trying to find some relative peace navigating different spaces and places, as much as it's like tied to my anger, if I may say. Like, I've always had the words of Joao Gabriel in my head. You know, at one point we had a meeting at the colony, and he talked about in a conference about how not being angry or not understanding the anger or the exasperation of other people was a sign of privilege. So that really struck me like very hard, like not being angry or not feeling like, you know, we talk more and more also about in the media about the angry Black woman, like they try to do some characterization about this without people understand. They're trying to talk about boss lady and stuff like that, like empowerment, but also it comes from a place of violence, because if you're angry and if you're jumping at something, it's because all of the microaggression and all the negativity that you always experience. So it's a bit hard for me to navigate through this, and trying to find like some therapy and lifeline through working around these concepts. So I try to inject the care aspect into my work. One of the main things I'm trying to do in my work is exploring positivity. I really want to work around celebration, and to celebrate islanders and islanders philosophy from Melanesia and Polynesian philosophy. So that's something I've been trying to assess and navigate. And what can I say? Care is also for me something that goes through the images and that goes through the bodies that I use in my work, like through the ethical use of the archives and the images I use in my work. You know, many artists I see sometimes use people of color pictures and suffering, and make other people like we see from the police violence footage, like you see people of color being killed and the violence people of color re-experience by going through these images and sharing the same experience. So you have some kind of double down violence that people live. Sorry? I thought you were saying something, Sandy. Sorry. But the thing I do is trying to find my place and most of all my legitimacy in the topics that I try to tackle, the words, the space, the place and the time that I use my work. Like sometimes people tell me that I'm censoring myself, but I don't see caring for people as being some kind of censorship, you know. I'm just trying to really care about people, about the pictures I use, and that's I could like show maybe the video, or I can maybe share the link later. But that's something that goes through a work that I did that was called Asobimasho, which means let's play in Japanese. Because it's a work that I did that serves as a karaoke video, which was a Japanese invention. And that's a video work that I used, that I made using colonial Japanese propaganda. Like for me, it was really important to not use the images of the people that were colonized by the Japanese government, but rather use the footage that they made to, how do you say, I forgot the word, promouvoir, to promote their colonial ambition towards the spaces they colonized. So I really wanted to use the tools made by the colonial power and to turn back the gaze on the colonial space and not, like, you know, use once again the pain and suffering of the people that were already being colonized. And it was also a topic that I wanted to go through, as so many people, you know, having a very strong feelings toward, positive feelings toward Japan. And I wanted to, you know, talk about how many countries were also responsible for having colonial ambitions. So that was something that really struck me as important of some sort. So yes, I don't know. I should have prepared much more written things or pictures, but I don't know. It feels alone to talk to just a camera. Back to you, Sandy.